to let you know that these are talks that we are doing it every week. Every week is with a different subject. We are mob, and we are an ecosystem with 3 spaces in Barcelona, and Laura is in one of our coworkings in Mob Catarina. And next week we will have Tecnecultura, who are using data to give for the for cultural companies to help them control a little bit the affluence of people, of who is going to their museums. So we are going to talk with them a little bit about how with data we can help museum in this new situation, how museums and cultural events have been affected with all the pandemic. And also in 2 weeks, we will also talk with a startup that we have in Mob that it's called We Share, about the future of work, also how everything is changing. So if you are interested in our social media, you will have all the information in Eventbrite also and in Meetup. So Laura, if you want to start, we can start.
Perfect. Well, thanks for the introduction. And I really like the topics you are covering through this situation. And I think that's very important in that in this time to keep connected, trying to nurture ourselves in different ways we can, and yet try to keep as normal as possible, right? Or even discovering new approaches and new formats that I think that is also interesting, and that's something I'm going to try to cover in that conversation. So I'm going to share my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yeah. Yes.
Like this, yeah?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, I'm going to be talking like to my slides, and that's going to be a bit weird, but I'm going to try to be natural. So yeah, shaping the futures of women in technology is our motto, and so we are trying to do the same, but in times of social distancing. And I don't know, we are discovering many interesting things on the way, to be honest. And I like to look at it this way, right, as a discovery opportunity. So that's me. Yeah, I used to be brown hair before quarantine. And I'm the CEO and co-founder of AllWomen, as Julieta said. I used to work at Mob for 4 or 5 years at the very beginning of Mob. So it's very close to my heart and everything. And I started AllWomen within Mob with Cecilia Tam, which is one of the founders of Makers of Barcelona. So AllWomen and Mob is very much connected. I love to do mentoring for young people. Lately, I was mentoring a group of 10 years old girls during 4 months, and we created a mobile app to help people to be more sustainable. And I have a background in digital media marketing, and I'm a proud feminist. That's me at a Google conference in 2018, super fun conference. And so about AllWomen, we are in a campus specialized in data science, product management, and UX design for women. Our programs are designed and taught by female also that are experts in the tech industry. We try to be 100% hands-on and learning by doing, and also within a safe and positive environment. We are very much about community, and we are always trying different ways to nurture this community, to give voice and light up women in the tech sector, but also, let's say, women issues, right? So like how COVID is affecting women in a different way, or how green aspects impact women in a different way. So at the core, there is always us as women, how we are within this wall and how we can improve it together. And also try to bring more women into technology to finally have diverse future technologies. a little bit about like metrics or numbers about AllWomen. We started around 2 years ago, more or less. Today we are like around 15,000 members in our community. That's a very broad community that has different circles of closeness, let's say. There is like our students, and then there is like the people that comes to our events, and then there is the people that follow us on Instagram, for instance, but all together. Sorry. We're all these people, mostly women, shaping that community. We are very much about creating social gatherings and events in different formats, like smaller, bigger. We try to test with different approaches, and we've been organizing almost every week an event. So we are kind of addicted to events, or yeah, and yeah, around 2,500 people have attended. I think even more. And as for today, we have trained around 100 women, so students. We have around 100 students, and also we count on a lot of like partners that, for example, they are part of, for example, hiring partners, right? So after our students go through a course, they have like real job interviews with those hiring partners. Another kind of partner, maybe I didn't include that on the slides, but we've been doing with companies scholarships, and also with the City Hall scholarships to fund the studies of women that want to learn technology. But why women in tech, right? Why we are all about this? So this is also like a bit of numbers. There is like much more, but I think I put like kind of like a quick worldwide overview to understand why we focus on women in technology. So only 1 out of 5 job positions in tech are held by women, and only 10% of women are contributing to the AI workforce. Only 17% of companies and startups are founded by women. And however, 900,000 open job positions in tech in the European Union. This number is from last year, and I guess this number has increased. And also I've been reading these days that because of the current situation and companies feeling obligated, let's say, to digitalize themselves, this number is going to increase even more. So why should we care then, right? So for us, it's a matter of social and design justice. So social, why? Social because we're saying that there is all this like high demand of tech job positions in the tech sector, and we as women, we are not like ocupando, we are not like working in those work positions, meaning that other jobs that are more like female-ish can disappear with time, because they are going to be substituted by tech jobs, and we're not going to be, prepared to work in these new positions with the risk of, losing our like normal positions that we've been doing during all these times. Also, normally tech positions are better well paid than other sectors, and we are not accessing to those positions. So it's also a matter of like, we know that there is a pay gap and all that. And so like in the sectors that are these, that you have like better chances to make a better living, let's say, we're not going there either. And also, and this in the end put us in a social risk of, of being a part of society, of not having like enough meanings to live in. And also design justice, because I know like lately we've been talking about like many different examples of, design bias in like different solutions, like that we all use in our daily basis, right? So, like Siri is a female voice, or cars are designed for a body shape, and then they are not that secure for us women, because like the standard that has been used to design those is like the male standard, as softwares that help hiring and recruiting that does not recognize female voices. water sensors that doesn't recognize like darker skin tone. Like there are like many examples in our daily life that because there is no equality when designing the solutions that we use, then they are just biased because they don't have, in consideration like other than white men, right? So for us, it's all a matter of social and design justice. What about the new context? Those are, so now I'm going to show like figures that I've found like on the internet. All these figures are kind of like average and estimations that, people are doing since it's very recent, like this situation, but I think they have some truth and something that is close to what is happening. And I think we can look at them and then reflect about it. So, the impact of COVID-19, again, there is a lot of like question marks here, right? But for example, in Spain, the GDP, so the PIB is expected to decrease 8%. The tax of unemployment is expected to grow this year in Spain 21%. That I think is quite worried. Like if we look at women, like how COVID is impacting women, like all the people that lost their jobs during this time, 60% are women. And also, and this is nothing to do with COVID, that's the reality, but it's having a bigger impact because of COVID. Like 76% of the unpaid care work that is held around the world is held by women. So in those times where everyone is at home, you can imagine how this is. But even though these numbers put us thinking, and I know it can be kind of basic to say, oh, there are all those metrics here, 5 metrics that I found on different articles, and then I put here these 3 solutions, and I'm not trying to solve anything, but things that we've been realizing that could be a positive way to approach this situation, having in mind that is much bigger and much more complex. But we are trying to close up and looking at education and technology. That is what we do. So opportunities that we have realized that are raising through these times is digitalization. So like all businesses are, I would say, forced to be digitalized, and it's going to be a lot of opportunity in all related to logistics. But logistics, it can be in any sector, because now what we are, I think like businesses are going to try to be all digital, and that means like providing with their products to their clients, where their clients can purchase or order through internet, so or through e-commerce. So it's going to be very important that these businesses are digitalized, and this goes through logistics, security, of course, and also health. Like, right, all this situation has put us to question how is our security and how is our health. So, and these sectors are going to be, of course, like connected to technology. So different technologies that are going to increase. This is nothing new. This was in constant increase like through the last years, but with this like forced digitalization, those are even going to increase more, which is coding, cybersecurity, big data or data, AI, UX, so designing for digital products, digital marketing, and everything that is digital in the end. So in that sense, we believe that there is an opportunity in reskilling ourselves, and we see this very often in our students. This doesn't mean that you try to reskill and you erase like your previous background and all that. It's like with your current background, adding a tech layer, to your current background. And this is going to be very valuable to a company that maybe is working in the sector you already have experience, but you have this experience plus technology knowledge. So we see this as a competitive advantage. So reskilling is like you don't start from zero, you have a work experience, you know about a sector, but you just are digitalizing yourself, as all businesses are going to do now. So is the same applied to you. And as I was saying, like, I think because it's going to be like this massive change, or where companies are going to digitize themselves, there is going to be even more tech positions around us. And remote, everything is remote now. And I have to be honest, like, the first 2 weeks I was like super happy about it. Then I was like super depressed about it. Like, what is going on here? And then I kind of like understood and tried to embrace it. And now, I don't know, I think there is like, as I said, like a lot of positive aspects out of this, like where companies, I think they are going to be much more flexible about like working remote, of course, learning remote, sport in remote, therapy, events, arts, social life. I think everything is going to a remote phase, and I think it's very useful for trying to do our like pastel and time management. I think it works very well in that sense, and also because it opens us to the world. So now, for example, I wanted to explain this later, but it doesn't matter. So now we're organizing an event with people in Berlin that we love what they do, and we always were like looking at them. They say, well, but they are in Berlin, we're in Barcelona, like that's complicated. And because the situation changed, we approached them, and next week we're doing an event together that is going to be, super interesting. And otherwise, maybe I would never thought like we could do this remote. Why people is going to join a remote event? But people now are very open to do all these like remote activities. And now, there are no borders. So you can, I don't know, like learn in a school in US, or someone from US can learn in a school in Barcelona. And like all the students are going to be international. So we can, connect through the wall, like tal cual. I don't know, I think it opens like a lot of possibilities that are like super interesting. Of course, there is a lot of adjustment and understanding and creating our own recipe. And of course, I'm not saying everything is positive and it's fantastic. Of course, it has, other sides, but I like to look at it, like from the opportunity perspective. Well, that's a little bit what I was saying, that was my personal journey, going from uncertainty to opportunity, to see it in a different way. It's true that it's being very accelerated, but I also think like, well, maybe that's something that in our case, right, that trying to do like remote learning, that's something that you always were thinking about it. But you said like, yeah, maybe later in the future, but somehow we were forced to, to implement it in a very short time. And that put us a bit on the spring. And I think it was like a challenging but very interesting process. And I'm happy we just embraced it and did it. So and I know this is happening or for many other sectors. I think there is like a lot of like new ways of looking at it. Also, I think because of the situation, we're also like more open to experiment with different approaches as users or as clients. I think like we're all open, we're all together in this also. It's a worldwide crisis. And I think, well, through constant conversation and everything, I think we can experiment with new formats and create like new interesting approaches. So I think I mentioned a little bit, but I just want to explain like very briefly how we have approached it, and then maybe you have questions, more specific questions. So from one day to another, we moved to in-person classes to online classes, and literally was from one day to another. For us, it was kind of easy, let's say, because we already were like very digital. So all our the content of the classes were already on a digital platform. We used Trello to organize, Slack to communicate, Google Meet to do video calls. So we already had like all these tools in place that we were using. What it was more challenging was to change from a physical learning space to a digital learning space in terms of human interaction, right? But we came, I don't know, we were like reading and investigating a little bit about like different methodologies and approaches, and we created our own recipe. And so we do like daily stand-ups where like the students and also as a team, we share every day what we are going to work with, in which things we are like blocked, and what are the next steps, we want to follow. We do like individual mentorship, even though it's online, but we create those moments, and we create like all the time is about creating connection that is more open, like with the group and the instructor, and then more private between the student and the instructor. And all the time we're like open and closing, let's say. So that's how we have approached it. This is a screenshot from our data demo day. So our students graduated in the middle of this, and we said that, I don't know, they were working for 10 weeks, like super hard, and they had to present to the world like what they have done it. And we had like around 50 people like connected, like listen to to their projects. So also I think it's linked with what I mentioned before, that we are open to different formats, and it's worth it to keep doing and keep trying. Also, when I mentioned like iterating, so we have like a open feedback space, sorry, and we try to have like continuous feedback from our students, from where we can improve or change things. So we try to be in constant communication with them, since in the end they are the ones receiving the classes or being our users, and we need their feedback to adapt and improve constantly. And also, staying connected, go international, that's what I was mentioning, and this is about the event we'll do next week. If you want to join, the information is out in our meetup or Eventbrite if you look for us. So we're going to talk about gender pandemics and gender equality, and all linked to data. And again, that was for us was an opportunity to do an event with these people that we really liked in Berlin, and we are doing the same with a community in London that are about product, with a community in Madrid that are around UX, with another people in Paris. So like all the projects that we always follow and liked, now we are connecting with them and doing things together. And I don't know, that's for us, it's being like, super cool. And so we used to do our Friday talks, which is like informal talk, like this one, about different tech topics here at MOB. So we just like moved this from a physical space to an online space, and people connect, and we keep doing like the same talks, same topics, people is coming. So we try to stay like very much connected, even though everyone is from their houses. And I think this is helping, everyone, us to, to feel human and not isolated, right? Because it could be very easily, you could feel isolated like from your home and your laptop. So trying to create as much social meetings to feel connected in this time and to learn new things. Reflect together. We've been trying to think together about everything that is going on, like not only from our team that we talk, about this like every day, but we're trying to put our thoughts outside with our community, and also to listen what our community has to say, and this is linked to stay connected. I think that now more than ever, we need to do an extra effort to keep connected, right? And there are like many different ways that we can do this. So we are trying to approach all of them in the best way we can, and I think through this, emails or through these blogs, we are really like opening conversations. Like we always get answers, and we always start like dialogues and conversations through email with our like readers of our newsletter, which is like super nice. And yeah, reinvent yourself. I think I've been like saying this over the talk, but we used to be an on-campus school, and now like we have moved all our courses to remote, and even though we have added 2 more courses to our normal offering, and which is being like super exciting. It's like now there is women from other countries outside of Spain that are applying, and it really feels like an international community. And I'm looking forward to have these summer courses where it will be, someone from the US, someone from Lisbon, someone from Barcelona, someone from Paris, like all together connected and learning technology. I think this is amazing. We had this because Barcelona is very international, so our classes were international per se. But I think that having people connected from other parts of the world, with the same objective, I think this is like super powerful. And this part of the situation, I'm loving it to rethink things, to reinvent, to reconnect, to trying to do things in a different way. I'm very excited about this part and see that that there has been an interaction that is not only us like sending messages outside. We have like a communication back, and we are learning from other people from other regions with their thoughts, with their needs, and we are trying to put this together somehow. And again, we're always like iterating and changing. Like nothing is like solid and consistent like our mission is, right? But like there are like a lot of other factors that we cannot control. And I think our community is always like giving, shaping the way AllWomen behaves, or what AllWomen does, or what women stop doing and stuff like that. Because I think we are like very proactive and talking to our in our community, and our community grows AllWomen. So it's like retroalimentación, and I love that part about this project. And that's it for me. Thank you. Now I'm gonna stop talking to my slides on my own, and I'm gonna stop sharing, and then I can see your faces, and it's gonna be more real. Dejar de compartir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do somebody has questions? I want you to ask. One of the particular, I know that in your courses, people are always really together. They create almost like a small family, between them. They're always eating together and everything. And how is going to be the approach of this particular way of communicating between them in the future courses, that everybody is like a little bit around, and how you will be able like to create this connection between?
That's a very good question. We are doing different experiments with it. To be honest, I don't have like a recipe yet, but so we try to. So there are the classes, but we try to create other spaces that are outside the classes where they can, connect and interact. But really, this is an experiment. We are creating a couple of activities next week that are going to be purely social. There is nothing related to their classes. We just want to hang out, from a social distance. So I will tell you next week.
Experimenting.
For example, I know one of our teachers in the last course because everything changes in the middle of the course, let's say. And then she was proposing a meeting. Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, on Fridays, like after lunch, where they were meeting to just put a song and dance, basically, for fun. Y ya está. So yeah, every week the student was like choosing the song, and then they were like just meeting and dancing, y ya está. But it's true that they knew each other beforehand, so the approach is different when they don't know in person yet. But well, we try for the classes to be the most dynamic we can with a lot of interaction. But it's true that in the end, you are in class and you are like focused on learning the max, and then this extra time that maybe you have a coffee or stuff like that, well, you don't have that, but we are designing different activities, and so you have this even though everyone is from their houses.
I have a question. What would you say was the biggest challenge when you had to switch everything when the whole pandemic happened? Like finding the platforms, like getting the information, like how easy the classes or how at ease people were in the classes.
Yeah. So I think the challenge, because well, as I mentioned, like we already have like everything on digital platform. So we had our like Google Classroom for the content, our Slack for communication, our Trello for class management, blah blah blah. But so in that sense, it wasn't hard. What it was maybe challenging was to find the dynamics and methodologies that would keep the class engaging now that everyone is from home, right? Yeah. And at the beginning, well, we just switched, but then we were seeing like typical problems that arise, right? So connectivity, like this is the link, this is not the link, or people is on time or they are late, or maybe they don't turn on the camera. So those are things that we were like realizing that have an impact on the learning experience. So we listed all of them, and then we had like new courses starting like 2 weeks ago, and we kind of like organized like a day zero where we were explaining all those things. Danny from my team was explaining that, and everyone was like, "What? Like you have to take showers, you have to exercise, blah blah blah." But it seems silly, but it is necessary. And we've been realizing that all those like tiny things that you think that are like normal and well, they are not that much, and like all together they help a lot to the learning experience. So we have kind of created like a guide for those things for this new remote learning experience.
And Laura, are you maintaining the same courses as it was you were expecting? You created more, you put some out? How?
No, so we had the same courses that we had now, but we're doing them like in remote. So like data science, product management, UX design, because they were supposed to start in person, and we just switched to remote. And we have added, so for summer, it's a bit different. We are offering like the same courses, but in an intensive format. So it's like every day in the afternoon. And also we have added 2 more concrete data courses, because the one we have it is longer because it covers like many aspects. And we have created 2 that are smaller and more focused on specific aspects of data and machine learning. So it's something like very like, to have like a useful summer, let's say, and afternoons,
And do you think that as now everything is going to turn more digital, perhaps it's going to be a good possibility for women to get more insight all of this kind of works?
I think, there is a huge opportunity about like reskilling ourselves. And as I mentioned, like the demand for roles in tech was already high, and it's going to be even higher. And I think there is a very good moment, and also because remote in the end, it doesn't have the physical human aspect, but also opens other opportunities as being like much more efficient with your time, right? So one thing for another, and I think it's a very good time to reskill yourself. And since a lot of job opportunities are going to arise, and also they are going to be international, since we are going all very remote. It doesn't mean that you have to live and work for a company in Barcelona. Maybe you can live in Barcelona and work for a company in London, and companies are adapting to that like fast. Well, the big companies and the tech companies already, they were adapted, let's say, but the others, everyone else is also adapting to that. And I think it's important to look at this as an opportunity, prepare ourselves, and then embrace this in the best way we can. I know I'm talking from a very positive scenario. There are like other like massive problems around this situation, of course. But I'm trying to be optimistic here, and from education point of view.
Mm-hmm. Great. Any more questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi. Yeah, I have a question. So you were saying that the courses are going to be open outside Barcelona as well, and that's good. They're going remote, like for people from other countries. But you also have like an assessment day, a career day, when people have the option, and it's like a treasure, to meet companies and to, expose themselves and have the opportunity to do interviews. How are you going to manage these aspects with people that are going to, enroll from abroad?
Mm-hmm. We just have done it during yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We have had, I think, like 15 companies confirmed that they were companies as Sanofi, Olaluz, and Nestlé, King, and all these kind of companies. They were during the morning presenting like what the companies do, and during the afternoon. So today, for example, now they are having interviews with our students. What we told our students is to create. So they prepare the curriculums. We send it to the companies. The company said, "I want to see this," and then we ask our students to create Calendly, so a link, so they can book time with them directly, and then we share these agenda links with the companies. The companies were booking time with them, and during yesterday, today, and tomorrow, they are having interviews. So again, it's because companies say, okay, situation has changed. Now we work remote, so we interview remote, and we have access to people from all over the world, which is great. And yeah. So
it's not going to be a. Do you think it's not going to be a problem in the future? Like somebody is working in Barcelona, working for, I don't know, somebody in London, all this kind of digital.
I think this already exists, but I think it's like few companies doing it, and because of this, like a lot of companies are going to be doing this. So I think this already exists for companies that I know, as for example, Sketch or Buffer, which is like design software or communication marketing tool. So companies that their product and solution is already digital, and they had this I think very forward thinking way of approaching their company culture. And from the very beginning, since day zero when they started, they were already remote from people that works all around the globe, and 2 times per year they meet in a point, and they see their faces, they touch themselves and stuff like that. They already were working that way, and now because of the situation, companies are just adapting to that, and I think so. Today we had a company that is in San Francisco interviewing our students, which is amazing. And maybe before we weren't told okay, let's contact companies in San Francisco because we live in Barcelona, when our students live in Barcelona, that's not possible. But today it's possible, and they were having these interviews with a San Francisco company. So yeah.
Yeah, so finally your students will have a bigger amount of companies, no? Finally.
Exactly.
That they will have, for you, it's going to be even better.
Claro, they are increasing their opportunities to work for any company. Maybe they say, I'm really interested in to work in very specific niche of health. Well, and maybe in Barcelona there is no one doing that, but there is, someone in Italy and in Denmark doing that. Well, you can access those companies, and I think that's pretty interesting and pretty amazing.
Great.
I have another one, if I can. Thank you.
It's good.
Yeah. Since you were talking, Laura, about social justice, women empowerment, I don't know because I haven't browsed, so I have no idea. But is there like a sort of bigger movement about coding, the data science at a European level for women? Are we doing something? I mean, I include myself also if I'm not doing anything, but like, is there something going on about, coding at I don't know, even a yearly summit or something, to share experience, to do networking, and to make, this knowledge grow and the community grow. But not only, in Barcelona. I know you're well connected all over the world, but, I'm thinking about Europe,
I think there are many different initiatives. Well, for example, I think Comisión Europea, how it's called, European Commission.
I can understand as well.
European Commission has an organization and a European approach, let's say. And last year they were at Smart Cities, I think, and then they also did a gathering they are just moving all around Europe, and I know it exists because I participated in a couple of them. There is I think it's a community or like a group of people, like they organize their Women in Tech conference in Amsterdam, I think, but it's very kind of international, women from all over Europe goes there. And I think there are different initiatives and that you can, connect. I don't know if there is only one that, connects all of them, because in the end also, I think then there are smaller communities that I think it makes so much sense to have these smaller communities because they know very well, their members, at the local level, and you can have a stronger impact because you talk to them directly and you know what are their needs and you try to solve them. But it's true that there is a bigger umbrella thing. I think it's important and cool to make, kind of a lobby, to make strength. But then I think it's very important you have the smaller ones that are local connected and they really understand what are the specific needs, of the people in their community. I think the two levels should exist and they should work maybe more close together. Also, that could be a thing to reflect about it. And I think for example, our community, in the end is international, and I feel we're, connected to different parts of the world, and I say.
Also, I guess with the talks that you are preparing, also with the people from Paris and everything that you have next week, also it's going to be helping also to talk about all this question in more a wilder way, to not just stay in one country.
Exactly. That's the idea, to start creating connections that are beyond borders, and let's see what arises from there. Again, it's all about experiments, so I still don't have 6 answers. I'm just explaining the things that we are doing, and then maybe in 6 months I can tell you the results of all the things. Maybe all wrong. No, I don't know.
We could meet back in 6 months, because in MOP also we are going to start to do a little bit the same thing. We are connecting also with other co-workings in Europe, because I think it's a good way, to connect communities. It's I mean, we are doing things that are very similar in different countries, and why just to keep it for ourselves and not sharing, between our communities, no? Because perhaps it's something that they're doing in Paris that we are not doing here, and it can give us a new perspective. And I think this kind of new ways of getting together different communities, it's a great opportunity that we have in front, and we have to embrace it.
Exactly.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so if you want, we can just stop here. And this, we will put the talk in YouTube and share it.
I'm gonna look at it for me.
Me neither. It's the we already had like 4, and it's like, okay, I don't want to see them again.
No, it's hard. It's hard to get yourself like record. I mean, I feel very comfortable like speaking here and sharing everything because I'm just speaking, you know.
In front of a screen, you know.
Then putting yourself recorded, it's como, ay, por favor. Fine.
But yes, we're going to try to be in the talk next week. It seems like super interesting.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. There is like, so even though like one of our students has did like a research on data and COVID and women specific for the event, and
Nice.
And she has like very interesting like findings about. Yeah, and then there is like other experts on data. We have someone that is also one of our students that she's an expert on epidemics. Well, it's going to be super, super cool. And from someone from the US, it's going to be very interesting.
Super. Perfect. So thank you very much, Laura.
No,
for
you're
your time.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. Very nice.
Bye.